Hello, welcome back. I am Dr. Roger Goddard, and here we are at our very last key major skill, major power area. This is the Calm Power program, and we've been working in the 4 key areas of body, mind, heart, and soul. And we are in the key area of soul, having 3 key skills. And the 3rd key skill in the area of soul is our solar self. Our solar self. Inside each of us has an inner self. And that some of our inner selves, as we've spoken about before, can be radiant and energetic and loving and caring and resilient and filled with life and love. But sometimes some of our inner selves are filled with doubt and insecurity and pain and hurt. And one's inner self can be fragmented inside and weak and not very capable of rebounding from all kinds of emotional problems and issues. Well, with this skill, what this power can do is to help you, help me, help us to remember to always be in contact with, be feeding, be strengthening, be using, and be experiencing and living life from our key, powerful inner solar self. That is in our very essence, that is in our heart, that creates and radiates our personality and what we have to give to ourselves and to others. And the first thing to know about being in contact with and strengthening and living from this wonderful inner place, our inner self of the solar key self, is that it is power, it is energy, it is solar, it is like the sun, it is radiating. And like the sun, we have all kinds of planets and asteroids and moons and other cosmic forces that revolve and shoot by and pass through and go all around us. But it is this key energy inside that we can use in order to face our problems and deal with the world. So it's very important to know that inside we also have what I would call a lunar self. We have our solar self and we have our lunar self. And our lunar self I would define as the part of us that is fragmented, depressed, anxious, nervous, dark. And we need that part of ourselves because that part of ourselves gives us meaning and life and understanding, and it is what life is about. But we shouldn't let that part of ourselves take us over. The lunar self and the solar self can work together, can meet each other. The solar self can light up the lunar self, can help the lunar self to evolve and to give us more. But in order to do that, we need to be able to first know that all of us have a solar self inside. So when we are feeling really bad or frightened or lousy or lonely or upset or fearful, that we need to remember, somewhere buried all the way deep inside, I've got my solar self, my strength, my power. And the voice of the solar self is very often this inner wise voice that we often hear about. And we can ask our solar self questions without going crazy and having multiple personality inside. We can ask our solar self for direction, for guidance, for advice, for wisdom. We can do this in a number of different ways. But first we need, as I said, is to be able to first have an awareness that we are this beautiful, incredible, intricate universe inside of a radiating, brilliant star, a radiating, brilliant self. The first part of being able to be in contact with, strengthen, experience life from our solar self is to know what it's about. 5 core elements of the solar self, S-O-L-A-R. And the first part, very basic part, S stands for spiritual. It is a spiritual part of ourself. Now, I know that some of us, some of you, are atheistic. You don't particularly believe in magical, mystical forces, but many of us, most of us, believe that there are these divine forces in life, and that there is a God, a divine force, intelligence, a Tao. But for those of us who don't necessarily believe in God, spirituality, the spirit, intelligence, the Tao, for those of us who don't believe in that, you still have to believe that there's life, and life has energy, and life is a force. And the fact that we are alive means that there's some force, there's some energy that is within us and within all things that is propelling us. So either way, our first understanding of the solar self within us is that it has energy, it has power, it has force, it is spiritual. And by spiritual, it has energy. And this energy is very, very divine, sacred, amazing, intelligent. So we have a part of ourselves that is our inner essence, that is spiritual. And we need to be able to tap into this, which many of us do through prayer, through meditation, through being in nature, where the presence of the spirit can be felt, where spirituality can be felt. So number one, the solar self is spiritual. It's our spiritual self, our connection with God, to something way beyond us, more powerful than us. Number two, SO. Our solar self is open. Open. Not creating boundaries and walls and negativity, but open to experience, to life, connected with life. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Buddhist monk, who is wonderful, I've spoken about him before here, he talks about interbeing, that there's an interconnection, that all things are interconnected. And this is the Buddhist concept, that all life is the interplay, interchanging of energies. And we fall from that understanding and that experience of just how wonderful and interconnected everything is when we are creating boundaries, walls, us and them, stay out, disconnected, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't want this, I don't want that. Versus when we're open, oh yeah, this is painful, this is hurtful. How can I learn from this? How can I accept this? How can I understand this in a way that is productive? What life lesson is there for me to learn here? How can I feel connected to this experience, to something that's happened to another person? Openness is a part of the solar self. L. And L stands for loving. Our solar self is loving. We are human beings. And we are given birth and survive and are able to be in this world because we receive the love, the care from our mother, from our father, from our family, from people who are dear to us. And we keep life going through getting love and giving love. The spiritual self is loving. We talked about loving awareness. Loving awareness is a different way of being able to have us be in a state where we feel the love of the world around us, the people around us, where we open our hearts to the joy and we're giving back and we're caring for and supporting other people, our environment, things around us, our plants, our furniture, the feng shui of where we live, our environment. We're caring, we're loving for that. And this creates a bond. Love is a very magical, special, amazing bond. And the solar self tunes us into this place of loving. Loving others, loving ourselves, forgiving others, forgiving ourselves, being loving in general, radiating love, being like a child, being childish, enjoying life, laughing, enjoying everything, connecting with other people through being able to care and love them. SOLA. A stands for achieving. Achieving. Our solar selves are on a journey, are learning, are growing. We need to be achieving. This is part of the reason why we love the idea of achieving in terms of financial security, achieving success in our life, achieving a good job, achieving good on the test, achieving our goals. Very, very important to always be working toward moving ahead and achieving and growing. This is what life is about. A tree that is not growing, rooted in the earth, and basically being able to interchange with the world around itself is a dying tree. A person who is not achieving and moving ahead and growing and learning and accomplishing and being successful and setting goals and achieving those goals is a person who is not connected with their solar self. The solar self, by definition, is a part of ourself that needs to grow and achieve and succeed. SOLAR, are resilient. The solar self bounces back. It's resilient. It's energy. Energy keeps going and flowing and keeps on working. Energy is the spice of life. It is the fuel of life. And we need to be able to be resilient, because when we're knocked down and knocked back into our lunar selves, then we are fragmented. We are stuck in certain holes, locked in certain dungeons or prisons that we end up in life when we're feeling lousy about ourselves, or fearful, or depressed, or lonely, or sad, or hating ourselves or something about life. We need to be able to climb out of those holes. We need to be able to have resilience to bounce back. The solar self is a part of ourself that enables us to say, okay, I've been knocked down. Okay, this hurts. Okay, this is painful. Okay, this is like not what I want. But how can I take what I got, take what experience is being put on my plate in order to deal with it, cope with it, learn from it, move forward, and bounce back? We need to be achieving. So the solar self gives us power, gives us energy, gives us love, gives us all kinds of tools to be able to bounce back. And it all starts with awareness. If we can be aware of our solar self, we're able to achieve. We're able to move forward. We're able to use it. We're able to experience life and deal with others and our problems from a position of power, strength, enjoyment, fun, love. Now, one thing I recommend in terms of that is to give your solar self a name. Use a symbol, an animal, the ocean, mountain lion, a tiger, a deer, a canary, a red-breasted robin, a cat, a dog, anything you want to name it, so that when you are in your lunar self, you can recognize that you're in your lunar self. So we also need to give our lunar self a name, use a symbol, so we can recognize when we're in our lunar self. Perhaps it is a shadow of a cloud of darkness or rain or a bad weather front that moves in and takes us over, versus our solar self that is strong, that can bounce back as a deer runs through the forest, or as the sun shines and dries the rain. When we use a metaphor, a name, a word, and sometimes the name might not necessarily have to be symbolic or part of nature or an animal. It can also just be a name, Leo, or Jonathan, or Jane, or Jamal, to symbolize our different states. When we can gain awareness into when we're in our lunar self, then we're able to bounce back, reconnect with, and experience life and deal with life from our solar self, from a place of strength. So solar self, use it.